Jun is a riskless idiot who doesn't know that his childhood tomboy is in love with him because he sees her as one of his homies. However, everything changes when she suddenly develops massive milk tanks and wants to get freaky. It all starts on the day Jun gets confessed to by Tomo, his childhood tomboy friend. But being the no-brain monkey that he is, Jun immediately thinks it must be some kind of bromance or diddy kind of love, so he brushes it off. The next morning, Jun and Tomo walk to school together, as they have done all their lives. While walking, Tomo remembers how one time she wore a skirt just so Jun could finally see her as a girl, but Jun only laughed and said she looked like a transgender. Back in the present, Tomo is lost in thought, thinking about all this, when Jun suddenly spanks her buns, which causes her to lose her temper, so she retaliates by shifting his kidney with her fist. On getting to class that morning, Tomo is still very much pissed that Jun is too dumb to see her as a baddie who is head over heels in love with him. So she complains to her friend Misuzu and also asks for her advice. But Misuzu tells her she is at fault for always choosing to play games with guys rather than being all feminine like a Disney princess. As advice, Misuzu then suggests she soften her manly baritone voice and stop talking like Optimus Prime, and instead use a more girly voice. Taking the advice, that day during lunch, Tomo meets up with Jun and tries to talk like Mariah Carey.
Oh my god! Wow!
But Jun tells her that she sounds like an old gorilla with anger issues. This pisses Tomo off, so they get into a fight, with Jun grabbing her collar and Tomo retaliating by uppercutting his jaw. Later that day, Tomo gets home, and her Randy Savage father reacts angrily when he sees the scar from the fight with Jun on her face. He is not pissed that she fought, but rather, he is pissed that she got injured fighting a sissy boy. But Tomo fires back by pouring all her frustration on him, accusing him of being the reason why everyone thinks she is a boy, since he had treated her like one all her life and had forced her to learn karate in his dojo. The next day, while walking to school, Jun apologizes to Tomo for the fight they had the day before, and then reveals that life would be pretty boring without her. But this only makes Tomo flustered. During lunch break, Tomo and Misuzu stay on the school rooftop to eat. However, Misuzu doesn't understand why Tomo wants to have lunch with her when it is obvious she prefers to eat with Jun. But Tomo tells her that eating with Jun would make it look like they are dating. But since Misuzu loves to stir up drama, she insists that they all eat together and then forces Tomo to meet up with Jun. Shortly afterwards, Tanabe, Jun's friend, approaches him, curious to know if he and Tomo are breaking beds. But the dumbhead immediately assumes breaking bed means fighting karate at the dojo. So he tells Tanabe that they do it all the time, even twice on Sunday.
Yeah, boy.
Misuzu overhears their conversation. So desperate to cause commotion, she tells Tomo everything Jun says about her. This pisses Tomo off, so she immediately charges to meet Jun and then beats the living daylight out of him. After school that day, the rain begins to fall heavily, and while waiting, Misuzu decides to play the witch again. This time she approaches Jun and demands to know why he has refused to join any club in school. Jun replies, saying he wouldn't want to join any club that Tomo isn't in. Hearing this, Misuzu curiously asks what would happen to him when Tomo finally gets herself a boyfriend. However, this statement deeply affects Jun, so he angrily pushes her straight into the rain. Before long, Tomo finds them waiting for the rain to stop. Wanting to help, she suggests that Misuzu share her umbrella with her, but Misuzu declines, and as a result, Jun finally gets the chance to share the umbrella with her. While they walk home, Tomo deliberately avoids any body contact with Jun, which causes a part of her shirt to get wet. Concerned, Jun asks her to move closer, but she explains that she had karate practice earlier and is all sweaty. Even so, Jun moves closer and, to her shock, says he loves her disgusting sweaty smell. This immediately makes Tomo embarrassed, so she bolts into the rain faster than Sonic on Red Bull. The following morning at the dojo, Tomo spars with a dude named Misaki, who is the president of the karate club and the only guy simping hard for Tomo. Misaki lets his guard down, so Tomo seizes the opportunity and delivers a swift karate kick straight to his clown-looking face. While stretching after practice, Tomo confides in Misaki and reveals that the reason she practices karate with the guys is that she has already kicked every girl's bun so hard that none of them want to spar with her anymore. In addition, Tomo points out that because of that, she is a total failure at making friends with girls. But Misaki assures her that it isn't true. He mentions that she is a charming girl and then encourages her to have more confidence in herself, which makes Tomo slightly embarrassed, as she has never received a compliment from a guy before. After karate class that day, two ugly girls who are crushing hard on Misaki spot him chatting with Tomo, and they immediately assume Tomo wants to snatch their man away. So the next day, they corner Tomo, ready to throw shade and put her in her place. But when they witness Tomo casually crush a canned drink as if it were a marshmallow, they almost pee themselves in fear. However, later that day in class, Misuzu advises Tomo that not every girl communicates with their fists like barbarians. She points out that some just want to be girls and quarrel verbally. Taking the advice to heart, Tomo then links up with the ugly girls and asks what they want. Still terrified, the girls confess that they like Misaki, and all they want is some girly advice from her, as they have noticed she is close to him. Hearing this, Tomo immediately becomes excited that the girls actually come to seek love advice from her. Elated, she thinks that any girl who can be relied on in matters of love is truly an alpha female. With that, she tells the girls that the first step to getting closer to Misaki is to become her friend, and if they accept, then she will help them shoot their shot. Later that evening, on their way home, Jun tells Tomo to sit beside him in the bus, so she sits for a while. But when she can't take it anymore, or her floodgates could burst out like a fountain, she returns to standing. A few moments later, one thirsty idiot who needs an emergency hair transplant in Turkey takes advantage of the crowd to grope Tomo's cake buns. Tomo becomes angry, but she decides to bear with it because she doesn't want Jun to find out what's happening. However, it becomes increasingly uncomfortable because this dude thinks he's testing his grip strength. But suddenly, Jun notices and immediately comes to her rescue. He reports the moron to the authorities, and as they later walk home, he tells her to try to talk to the police later. But Tomo doesn't hear any of that. All she can think about is that Jun is treating her like a girl right now, and it is switching her on. However, she becomes disappointed when the blockhead casually suggests that she should stop wearing skirts, which automatically earns him his 14th punch in this anime. The next day at school, Tomo reports the situation to Misuzu, saying when she thought the idiot was starting to treat her like a girl, he suddenly suggested she didn't wear skirts because it didn't make him feel good. Misuzu states that he might have said it because she didn't want her to be groped again. But when Tomo starts to make a deal out of what she just said because she thinks Jun was just being concerned, Misuzu shatters her hope by saying that there is no way in hell Jun thinks about her useless face that way. Misuzu then tells Tomo that her skirt is too short anyway, but also says she might want to consider removing the leggings she wears underneath her skirt. Tomo immediately thinks she is into girls and covers herself, but Misuzu tells her that the other way girls wear their skirts is by having nothing else but underneath. Later, after school, Misuzu meets Jun, who is obviously feeling terrible because Tomo wants to walk home with him, and he gets excited that she is no longer mad at him. Meanwhile, Tomo has removed her leggings and is uncomfortable that her skirt might blow up to reveal her plot armor. Upon seeing her, Jun freezes like a popsicle immediately, and he starts walking off without looking at her. He keeps looking away from her until he suddenly collides with a pole, shocking Tomo. They soon get on the bus, and all Jun can think of is all the boys wanting to bend Tomo over, which makes him mad. He continues to avoid looking at her and walks ahead, leaving Tomo wondering why he is acting so strangely about this. She quickly runs to grab him, but her skirt blows up at that moment, causing Jun to brain glitch. He later apologizes to her for dictating what she would wear the previous day, like her parents, but tells her that wearing something she is so embarrassed about is giving him a hard time. The next day, Misuzu asks Tomo what went down the previous day, and she replies that the only thing that went down was her self-esteem, because Jun was busy acting weird during the period they were together, so she is never wearing such again. Later that afternoon, a Barbie doll named Carol, with 2 separate countries on her chest, arrives at school, and everyone starts drooling over her. Tomo, on the other hand, notices how much attention the Carol girl is getting from all the guys, and can't help but feel envious. For once, she wishes she could attract that kind of attention too. However, Misuzu calmly explained to her that with how manly she looks, the only thing she'd attract is Diddy and his baby oil. Still obsessed over Carol, Tomo couldn't get her out of her mind as she walks down the school corridor. Lost in thought, she accidentally bumps into Misaki, who is holding hands with none other than Miss Massive Melons. Caught off guard, Tomo freezes, while Misaki introduces Carol as his fiancée. But Carol, on seeing Tomo, instantly labels her as a man-snatcher. So from that day on, Carol's favorite hobby became calling Tomo stupid every chance she gets. The next day, Carol meets Misuzu to ask how she can defeat Tomo, and Misuzu, thinking of how she can use her, tells her she knows someone who can help her more than her. Carol then meets Jun later and tells him there is someone she wants to defeat, and she came to him based on a referral. Jun is surprised that there is someone else like Tomo who is willing to beat someone up, and he tells her they will begin training after school. Later, after class, Jun calls Carol as he leaves for the gym, and she jumps after him immediately, shocking Tomo, who thinks something is going on between them. Misuzu adds to the problem by saying they must be clapping already to be acting that close, making her even more jealous.
I don't have these answers.
But this is exactly what Misuzu wants, because her dear friend has been acting so slow. While Jun trains Carol, he realizes she is weaker than your Magnum when loaded, but he continues to train her. He tries showing her how to fight while facing up against her enemy. And just then, Tomo appears. Looking angry, she approaches Jun and locks his clothes, asking him what the heck he thinks he is doing alone with a girl. But seeing how strong Tomo is, Carol instantly realizes that she might lose all her teeth if she proceeds with the fight and immediately tells Tomo and Jun that she is no longer interested in fighting, shocking them as she runs off. Following that, Carol takes Misuzu out to eat some cakes as compensation for helping her. And while at the cafe, Carol asks her if they are now friends since they are eating together. But Misuzu tells her to ask Tomo if she needs a friend since Tomo is a certified loner. Carol later meets Tomo to ask her to be her friend, and she gladly accepts. Afterward, Jun and Tomo get talking as they watch. Carol perch all over Misuzu. Jun tells Tomo that the two girls are popular with boys, and Tomo agrees, stating that they are pretty and girly. However, Jun replies that he would rather not say anything concerning Misuzu, prompting Tomo to ask if he has a thing for Misuzu. He replies no, but accidentally drops a shocker that he and Misuzu used to have a thing while in their old school, shocking Tomo. When Jun leaves, Tomo feels betrayed that Misuzu has kept such a secret from her all these years. So she goes to the rooftop to angrily confront her. But Misuzu shrugs it off as nothing and explains that the relationship she had with Jun is shorter than Kevin Hart on a tricycle. She further explains that Jun once confessed to her, to which she agreed to date him, and she saw it as an opportunity to aura farm with him as her boyfriend. But then, the idiot turns every date into the Tour de France and almost sends her to the afterlife with cycling all day. Afraid of losing her life, she decides to call the relationship quits. But before she can, Jun dumps her first and bruises her ego for life. So because of that, she swears never to forgive him. After hearing all this, Tomo asks if she still has any feelings for Jun, but Misuzu replies that she has lost all feelings for the Jackie. Later on, Misuzu corners Jun because she wants to know if Tomo is the reason he broke up with her back then. But Jun replies, saying he broke up with her because she is flatter than a chopping board and has an emo scary face. Later that day, after school while walking home, Tomo asks Jun that since he and Misuzu are done, she wants to know if he likes anyone else. Jun replies that he doesn't find any girl attractive enough, which relieves Tomo, but she tries to hide it. The following day at school, Tomo and Jun run into Mizaki, and upon seeing him, Jun remembers that Misuzu once told him about a guy with whom Tomo was spending quality time in the karate club. So as Tomo introduces Misaki to Jun, the jealous idiot responds by karate chopping Misaki in the middle of the head. And of course, Tomo immediately grabs Jun and disfigures his face. Realizing he might get beaten up again, Jun awkwardly extends his hand for a handshake, but squeezes Misaki's hand hard enough to show he isn't playing nice. After school that day, Tomo ditches walking home with Jun, explaining that she already has plans with Misuzu and Carol. So Jun goes home alone, and that is when he runs into none other than Misaki at the bus stop. At that moment, Jun recalls Tomo warning him to go easy on Misaki or risk losing his family jewels. So he tries to hold a conversation with Misaki, and they even take the same bus ride home together. Inside the bus, Misaki questions why Jun doesn't want to join the school's karate club. In response, Jun says he couldn't because he wouldn't be able to beat Tomo, so he would rather continue his training at Tomo's dad's dojo. Hearing this, Misaki thinks Jun is only tripping, so he tells him that Tomo always says she can't beat him. Jun replies that he can only beat Tomo in street fighting, but not when there are defined rules guiding them. Jun then expresses his deep respect for Tomo and his hope to one day emulate her. Misaki immediately thinks that they are both alike since they both look up to Tomo, but realizing that he lost his guard by stating something silly, Jun warns Misaki not to tell anyone, or he will make sure he gets a surgery appointment. The next day at the karate class, Tomo asks Misaki if he got along with Jun the previous day since they were on the same bus, and Misaki forcefully says that Jun is the nicest dude he has ever met. This makes Tomo glad because Jun is finally getting a friend after trying to make friends with different guys in the past. But they always feared him instead. Later, Jun sees Tomo and Misaki together and comes to scare the innocent boy again. But Tomo thinks they are getting along. Later that afternoon, while chilling in an eatery, Misuzu advises Tomo to spend more time with Jun, or else he might catch feelings for some other girl. In addition, she suggests they engage in more couple activities, such as bowling and karaoke, rather than competing against each other like UFC fighters. Tomo takes her advice, and later in class, she invites Jun to hang out with her, which excites Jun like a brat going to Disneyland. During the break, Misuzu tells Tomo to treat the hangout with Jun as a date, and to also get some nice girly clothes for herself instead of dressing like a failed male rapper. Later that day, the girls go to the mall to shop for some girly clothes for the date. After shopping, Tomo dresses up and links up with Jun for the date. She's expecting the donkey to notice something different about her, but the boxhead doesn't even notice a thing. However, shortly afterwards, they hit up some fun spots and finally ended the day in a karaoke room. But then, Tomo is internally freaking out, trying her best not to mess things up. When she realizes that Jun is just having fun and not thinking too deeply about anything, she decides to loosen up a little and then sing some embarrassing kid's song, which Jun records on his phone. The following day at school, Tomo vents to the girls about how embarrassed she was singing lullabies while Jun just watched and recorded her cringy performance. But after listening to her complain, the girls stand up and walk over to Jun, who is watching the video, and demand that he show it to them. But suddenly, Tomo bursts into the scene and embarrassingly chases after them. And Jun, while still watching the video, notices something different about Tomo. Some days later, as Misuzu goes to school, Tanabe greets her, and when she responds, the simp becomes excited that she didn't ignore him this time. However, his heart shatters when she asks who the heck he is. Following that, Tanabe meets Jun and begins complaining about how Misuzu always wears a cold stone face. He wonders how to get her to smile, but Jun cannot relate, and he says Misuzu smiles most of the time she talks with him, surprising Tanabe and making him wish he were the one. Jun then asks Tomo about it after this, and she also claims that Misuzu barely smiles, surprising him because it's quite the opposite with him. This makes Tomo wonder if this is because Misuzu still likes him. Not long after, Tanabe tries all he can to make Misuzu smile, but this only makes her seal his mouth since the idiot won't stop telling dry jokes. As he later walks across the hallway, he meets Carol, who seems to have also faced the same predicament, shocking them both. A few hours later, Tomo visits Misuzu to ask her if she still likes Jun because he said she smiles around him like a fool in love all the time. In response, Misuzu plays around with her feelings a bit before telling her that she had no feelings for her man. Not long after, Tomo sees two girls acting all mushy and wishes that she could also grope a girl like that. Misuzu wonders if she now supports the alphabet mafia, and she immediately defends that she just meant touching them in appropriate places. Tomo complains that she doesn't have any girlfriend to act like that with, as many she tried touching in the past began to distance themselves from her. Tomo then asks Misuzu if they can hug like those girls since they've practically been beasties since childhood. But Misuzu immediately shuts her down like she just tested positive for coronavirus. Later, when Tomo steps out to the school's rooftop, she suddenly finds Carol extending her hands toward her so she can touch her anyhow she wants, surprising Tomo that Misuzu told her about it. Tomo takes the opportunity immediately and grabs her in the way your lonely, thirsty soul would never. Realizing how soft Carol is, Tomo returns to Misuzu feeling terrible, accepting that she is really not a girl after all, because her own backside is tougher than a day-old Popeye's biscuit. However, Misuzu tells her to relax, saying that Carol is a rare exception. This makes Tomo wonder what other girls are like, since Carol is special. So she starts touching every girl she sees like a mental patient. This makes Misuzu kinda jealous, and she starts acting strangely towards Tomo. Sensing the bad vibe among the girls, Carol assumes she must be at fault for hugging Tomo. So she tries apologizing to Misuzu, but Misuzu brushes it off, saying she is not the cause, but someone else who keeps pestering Tomo. Eventually on the rooftop, Misuzu apologizes to Tomo for acting cold towards her, even agreeing to let Tomo hug her. Excited, Tomo hugs her. Misuzu then suggests that Tomo hug Jun the same way, and Tomo feels it is a great idea. However, when she tries to hug Jun from the back, Jun yanks her hand away. And as expected, it results in a fist fight, with Tomo punching Jun in his stupid face. The following morning, Tomo wakes up to find Jun by her bedside like some creepy stalker, and as expected, she beats the idiot blue-black. Following this, they have breakfast, and that is when Tomo's mom, Aizawa, casually reveals that Tomo's dad would rather spend his time in his dojo than have breakfast with his family. Also, she tells them that her husband is still very shy when he is with her, even though they have been married for years. After breakfast, Aizawa drags Tomo and Jun to the dojo, and on seeing the youngins, Tomo's dad, Goro, scolds them for coming late to training. Aizawa steps in, apologizing on the youngins' behalf, but as she touches Goro, the fugly bear instantly collapses from his wife's touch. Later that afternoon at school, the ugly girls simping on Misaki from earlier confide in Tomo that one of them, Ogawa, is mixed up in some drama with the leader of a scary group. Hearing this, Tomo follows them to meet the donkey-faced thug disturbing Ogawa, and politely asks that he back off and stop pestering her. But when the shady bully tries to act like a top G, Tomo kicks him in the guts and sends him crashing into the wall, like trash. Later that evening, Jun, passing by, overhears the disgusting thugs planning their revenge on Tomo for beating their leader. This annoys Jun, so he kicks the idiotic leader in the same wounded guts. Later, when Tomo leaves for home, the leader and his group come to apologize to her, all looking battered like they just battled Hulk, shocking her. She then reports this to Jun as they head home, wondering what happened to them, but then she also notices the plaster on Jun's face, and when she asks him what happened to him, Jun lies that he fell. During the weekend, Misuzu and Tomo head to Carol's house using a cheesy map she gave them. Getting to the gate of the house, they eventually meet Carol's mom, who is just as dust-brained as her daughter and immediately mistakes Tomo for a boy. On getting inside the luxurious mansion, they eventually meet Carol, who is excited to see them. She takes them inside her room, and Tomo is blown away by the Barbie theme going on. She then asks Carol if she is a princess, but Misuzu explains to the cave girl that it is obvious Carol's parents were filthy rich. While Tomo and Carol look at Carol's baby pictures, Misuzu excuses herself and leaves for the bathroom. But while walking to the bathroom, she notices Carol's mom trailing behind her like some creep. Misuzu then stops and asks the maniac what she wants. Carol's mom replied by saying she had observed how Misuzu was mean to Carol, so she just wanted to know why Misuzu was being mean to her daughter. Misuzu, as savage as always, replies, telling her that she is only friends with Carol because her parents were loaded. But Carol's mom just laughs it off and calls her cute. Meanwhile, Carol and Tomo decide to play Othello, and Misuzu returns to find out that Carol beat Tomo. She decides to play too, confident that she would trash her, but Carol easily beats her too, leaving her wondering what her deal and her mother's are. 2 days later, at school, Tomo discovers that the midterm exams are coming up the next day, and she begins to panic because there is no way she is not coming out at the bottom of the class. Misuzu suggests they have a study group at her house, which excites her. Just then, Jun appears and offers to be Tomo's tutor, but Misuzu tells him to stop being full of himself as she demands to know his ranking in the last exam. Jun confidently replies that he ranked around 30, but Misuzu destroys his ego when she reveals that she was number 1. Later at Misuzu's home, the 3 girls get talking as they prepare to start studying. And just then, Misuzu's mom, coming from outside, notices a boy's shoes by the entrance. She wonders if Misuzu now has a boyfriend, but she enters to find that the supposed boyfriend is Tomo. The girls get to studying and stumble on a math problem that seems quite difficult to solve, but Carol solves it right off her head, shocking the other 2. She explains how she solved it using some underhand tricks, and Tomo gets excited that she might as well be the next Albert Einstein if she uses this method. A few weeks later, it's Tomo's birthday, and Jun gives her Ray-Ban glasses as a gift. Tomo gets excited and puts it on, making her look like Frankie. She goes to flex her spec before Misuzu, who then gives Tomo a thoughtless gift that doesn't mean trash to her. Carol soon appears with a 24-karat gold as a gift, shocking them. Seeing that she seems to have enough money to throw away, Misuzu asks if she would like to put her wealth to some use. Carol accepts, and Misuzu briefly whispers in her ear before telling Tomo to come over to her house during the weekend. So on Saturday, the 2 girls bring out a nice dress and a wig, which leaves Tomo wondering what they are planning to do. They tell her that they are using the opportunity to make her as feminine as possible, surprising her. They soon begin to fix her up until she starts looking like a hottie way above your broke face's league, and Misuzu tells her this is the part where she has to talk like a girl, but she replies that she doesn't know how to. Misuzu tells her to try talking more politely, and Tomo manages to pull it off. Some minutes later, Misuzu and Carol state that they are craving ice cream and want Tomo to get some for them, just to make her step out. Tomo says that she has to change her clothes, but they throw her out of the house, saying it wouldn't make sense if nobody else sees her in the beautiful dress. Tomo then heads to the store fuming, and as he enters, she notices everyone staring at her like she just pooped herself, shocking her. She thinks she must look horrible right now, and just then, she suddenly sees Jun in the same store. She sneaks in to get the ice cream, hoping he doesn't recognize her, and at the same time, Jun wonders if the pretty girl he just saw was Tomo. However, as Tomo leaves the store, she misses her step and falls. Jun helps her up, surprising her that he can be this gentlemanly. Meanwhile, he turns to leave, but she quickly stops him to ask him if she can walk with him. However, Tomo soon regrets her actions, wondering why she asked to walk with him, and Jun remains skeptical, convincing himself that Tomo is shorter and doesn't wear makeup. They soon see a group of children playing football, and Tomo almost breaks character to return to her Raz personality, but she cautions herself immediately. She apologizes for acting like a tyrant, but Jun replies that he likes it rough, so he's cool, turning her cheeks red. Jun then points to 2 kids, a boy and a girl, who seem to be very close, and he asks her what she thinks will happen to them in the future. She replies that it'd be nice for them to become boyfriend and girlfriend, and Jun tells her that he also has a girl who is his best friend, but he doesn't know how things would turn out. Tomo is surprised to hear this and asks him what he wants from the relationship with this supposed bestie, and he replies he doesn't know. However, his only goal now is to beat her. Tomo wonders if she should reveal her identity, but he suddenly asks her about the ice cream she bought. She immediately realizes she is in a mess already and gets up to leave. Upon getting back home, she finds Misuzu and Carol decorating the house to surprise her, and while she later sits to eat cake with them, she narrates how she saw Jun at the store, and he called her pretty, which made her feel on top of the world. The next day, when Jun sees her, he draws her cheeks playfully as if to investigate if she was the one he met at the store yesterday. However, this only makes the easily agitated moron respond with a punch to his face, confirming that this is the Tomo he knows. Later at school, during the volleyball training for an upcoming interclass tournament, Tomo trains aggressively, which scares all her mates away, and when the teacher realizes that her testosterone level is off the charts, she takes Tomo to the boys section before she injures the girls. All the boys are excited to have her on the team, but she feels terrible that this is happening again. The tournament begins the next day, and Tomo and Jun's team thrash the other teams very easily with Tomo's brute force. However, during the break, when they rest before the final match, Tanabe suddenly appears, looking worried, to inform them that the team captain they were facing, Goma, was a literal beast and was totally overpowered like Dragon Ball Z. The dude is said to be the strongest kid in the school, and there is no way Tomo and Jun can beat him, except they are on meth. Tanabe tells them they don't have to fight him, but the two reply that they have to since he is the strongest in the school. A few moments later, as the final match is about to begin, Goma, the Hulk, comments that he doesn't care about Tomo, who doesn't seem to be as strong as it was rumored, but he only cares about Jun because he is pretty athletic yet isn't in any club, and their team ends up winning the tournament. The following morning, while jogging, Jun arrives at a very high set of stairs and has a flashback to 10 years ago when he first met Tomo. On that day, he and his family had just moved to the vicinity from Tokyo, so while immersed in playing his Nintendo game, Tomo showed up like a monkey on his fence, and being an absolute menace, she grabbed his Nintendo, started to play, and ended up destroying the game. Jun was pissed, so he knocked her out like a low-budget Mike Tyson. Afterwards, they formally introduced themselves, and even more awkwardly, Tomo's Thanos of a father showed up at Jun's home with Tomo to apologize. So from that day henceforth, Jun and Tomo hit off the most energy-consuming friendship ever. Weeks later, Tomo decided to bring Misuzu into the circle of friendship, and even though the Wednesday Addams wasn't all that friendly towards Jun, they still hung out together. One day, the trio went bug catching in the forest, and they had to climb the high stairs just to get there. While Jun could barely manage to keep his feet on the ground, Tomo carried Misuzu on her back and climbed just fine, making Jun wonder if Tomo is a mutant. Several days later, little Jun was busy playing games on his Nintendo like some normie nerd, when suddenly, two ugly scumbags bullied him. Even though Jun tried to hide the bullying incident from Tomo because he was embarrassed, Tomo somehow found out, like Sherlock Holmes, and helped recover the Nintendo game the dirty bullies had taken from Jun. However, this made Jun really pissed, causing them to fight, but Tomo ended up putting the weak wuss in a chokehold like some UFC superstar. After the fight, Tomo doesn't understand why the boy is so moody, even after she helped retrieve his gaming device that the bully had collected. But the thing is, Jun feels like a total sissy, realizing that a girl has to fight his battles. With that, Jun gave Tomo his Nintendo to hold on to, only to return it on the day he is strong enough to beat her. And to achieve this, he registered for dojo classes at Tomo's dad's dojo. However, to this day, Jun is yet to take the game back, which makes Tomo wonder when he is coming to get it since he has become stronger than her anyway. Some days later, they all prepare to go to the beach for some wet moments, and Jun is surprised to see Misuzu also coming along, since she never seemed to be really interested in beaches. Misuzu replies that she is ready for the experience, even though her real reason for coming is so she can witness Jun's face when he gets to see Tomo's bouncy floaties in her swimsuit. At the beach, the girls change into their swimsuits and appear before Jun, but he wonders where Tomo is. He immediately goes to look for her and finds her feeling shy to come out, so he forcefully opens her hoodie, only to be welcomed by her massive bazookas embarrassing him. In the next scene, Jun chooses to sit with plotless Misuzu because his magnum has been rising and falling like Bitcoin. Meanwhile, Tomo, not knowing the struggles of this gentleman, comes to get him to play with her and Carol in the sea, and he barely enjoys himself because his brain remains frozen most of the time. Meanwhile, these two random classmates see Tomo and Carol playing afar and become intimidated by their plots. Carol excitedly goes to give Jun a feel of her milk bags, making Tomo jealous. Afterward, Carol sits with flat-chested Misuzu, curious about why Jun seems to be running away from her and Tomo. Misuzu reveals that it is because Jun likes them big,
Yeah, boy.
but Carol doesn't understand. A few moments later, while Tomo is alone, a random bozo with no face card notices her milk factory and comes to riz her, asking her to follow him to a corner for a quickie. But just then, Jun suddenly appears from the water like Aquaman scaring the dude, who wonders if Jun is her boyfriend. But Jun tells him no. The guy then asks why he is acting like the ultimate cockblocker, and Jun replies that he doesn't just want him putting his filthy hands on Tomo, scaring the guy off immediately. Jun then explains to Tomo he doesn't want people going about thinking he is her boyfriend, shocking her. This makes Tomo feel a bit worried, So she confides in Misuzu and tells her that she wants nothing more than for everyone to think that she and Jun are actually dating. Misuzu then advises her to take advantage of the fact that they're on the beach to get as close to Jun as possible for the rest of the day. Tomo implements the advice and sticks with Jun for the rest of the day, which leads to Jun seeing Tomo in a very different light while having fun. Towards the end of the summer break, the girls have a sleepover at Tomo's house and decide to play a classic game of dares. Misuzu gets the crown, and as the evil manipulator, she dares Tomo to attend the summer festival with Jun alone. So they visit Jun immediately, and Tomo asks him out to see the fireworks together, but he casually agrees, surprising Tomo as she reasons that this is unusual of him. As they head back, Tomo is worried as she can't seem to understand Jun's actions recently. Later, as Jun lies on his bed, he wonders why he is happier than usual to be seeing fireworks alone with Tomo. He remembers when she confessed to him earlier and reasons that she could not have meant that. Meanwhile, Tomo, also on her bed, remembers all that happened at the beach and wonders why Jun doesn't seem to be matching her vibe lately. At the same time, Misuzu is concerned about what is happening between the two lately. She had initially encouraged Tomo to act more feminine when she told her she liked Jun, so Tomo could play with her more as a girl. She only used Jun to get what she had always wanted, and now she doesn't want to stop. On the day of the fireworks show, as Jun prepares to leave home, he wonders why he has mixed feelings about this, but he is determined to find out why he is feeling this way toward Tomo. He soon meets her, and upon seeing her, he is almost blinded by her beauty, and she tells him that her mom was the one who encouraged her to dress like Samurai Jack. Getting to the festival, they both head to a seller's shop they have always known. Upon seeing Jun, the old seller gets excited and asks about his friend, Tomo. Tomo asks if he can't recognize her anymore, and after staring at her for a while, the seller is shocked to realize that the stall-destroying demon of the summer festival has grown to be such a beautiful lady. Still in disbelief, he takes her picture and calls the other sellers to inform them about his discovery, shocking them too. Meanwhile, Maisaki and Carol are also in the summer festival, along with Masuzu. Jun steps away for a while, and some guys corner Tomo to ask her to clap those cakes, but Jun returns to take her away like a perfect Sigma. As they walk away, she thanks him for helping her, but the dweeb suddenly apologizes for intruding since she is strong enough to have handled the situation herself. This pisses Tomo off, and she lands a punch on his stupid face, telling him he should let her thank him, as there are some things she can't do even though she is strong in a fight. She then thanks him properly, surprising Jun as he thoughtlessly comes to hold her in a sus way. He returns to his senses and awkwardly steps away, leaving Tomo wondering what that was. As they head to the fireworks viewing area, Tomo wonders if Jun now has feelings for her too, and she reasons that this might be her chance to communicate her feelings to him properly. However, as they get to the viewing area, she hesitates and decides to do it at the perfect time. After the fireworks show, they head back home, but Jun is yet to find out what the feeling is. However, one thing he realizes is that he can't have a real punching match with Tomo ever again. They resume back to school when Tomo is worried that things have changed between her and Jun, as he seems to have been showing extra care and caution when touching her all of a sudden, and Tomo isn't used to such princess treatment. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the wannabe gangsters that were trashed by Jun earlier started planning on how to get their revenge. While the leader thinks of how to get back at Tomo, he notices Misuzu from afar and immediately takes his gang along to assault her. Just then, Carol appears, and seeing her, the gang leader decides to lay hands on her too, since she is Tomo's friend. But Misuzu tells him to leave her, saying Carol is just a classmate and nothing more. However, as they leave with Misuzu, Carol suddenly tases the idiot. Misuzu then takes Carol's hand immediately so they can escape, but the dimwit falls face flat. However, they manage to escape to an abandoned factory, but Carol didn't get there without leaving a trace. At the factory, Misuzu calls Jun immediately to tell him to come to save them, but says he shouldn't let Tomo know. So Jun finds a way to excuse Tomo, but she suspects that he is up to something, seeing his bloodthirsty look. So he is forced to let her know, and she insists on going to help her friends. Meanwhile, Misaki happens to be nearby and becomes interested when he hears that Carol is affected too. The gang leader soon finds Misuzu and Carol, but before he can do anything, Tomo suddenly grabs him and knocks his head toward the ground. She takes him out to where his other gang members are, ready to give him the beating of a lifetime. Seeing that Tomo and Jun are already handling the situation, Misaki decides to look for Carol and Misuzu instead. However, he is shocked when he finds Carol without her clothes. Bro goes berserk, thinking the gang has already explored her vertical lips, and attempts to go isekai the leader. But Tomo and Jun hold him until he realizes that Carol was only changing clothes. He becomes embarrassed after this and then leaves with her. Meanwhile, Misuzu tells Tomo and Jun to go on ahead while she handles the moronic gangsters on their knees. She threatens them by revealing that Tomo is the only daughter of the famous nightmare, Aizawa, scaring them. She then tells them they have to protect Tomo and her friends from now on with their lives. The next day, as Tomo leaves for school, she feels terrible that she acted in a rogue manner the previous day when Jun was just starting to see her as a girl. Just then, Jun greets her and taps her lightly on her shoulder, exciting her because this is what she has been expecting. Misaki, in one of his flashbacks, remembers when he was little and got to meet Carol for the first time, and it was love at first sight. Back in the present, Misaki decides to join Tomo's dad's dojo so he can get that Goku physique. Tomo's dad, Goro, sees some potential in the skinny boy, unlike my dad, who didn't see any potential in me. So with that, Goro decides to train Misaki, and after going through various rigorous training exercises, it is time for a sparring match against Jun. During the spar, Jun is emitting fire like a Dragon Ball, while Misaki, in a desperate attempt to prove himself, launches an attack but gets punched in the gut so hard by Jun that he gets knocked out instantly. The following morning, while strolling to school with Carol, Misaki proudly opens up to her and says that he has just started some fighting lessons at Tomo's dad's dojo. He also says he decided to start the fighting lessons so he could get Tomo's acknowledgement. Hearing this, Carol immediately becomes jealous, so she storms off to find Jun and then asks to hang out with him later, just to make Misaki jealous. While leaving the class, Carol runs into Misuzu, who, after overhearing her asking Jun to hang out, warns her not to mess with Tomo and Jun's love situation. Later that day, while hanging out in the park, Carol tells Jun that she felt bad for being mean to Misuzu and for also messing around with her friend's man. But Jun assures her that the girls will forgive her. After hanging out in the park, they somehow end up inside Jun's room, and Carol immediately sees that as an opportunity to torture Tomo for standing in her way with Misaki. So she immediately pounces on Jun and is about to give him intense pleasure with her jizz-worthy chesticles, but Jun freaks out and immediately rushes to Tomo's place. Getting there, he hugs her and tries apologizing for something, but he couldn't help thinking about how he had failed to accept Tomo as a girl until they settled the score with his Nintendo. Just then, Carol pops out of nowhere, and after having a sudden change of heart, she apologizes for messing with their love, and they all make up. The following day, at the rooftop, Carol also apologizes to Misuzu for behaving like a tramp and not heeding her warning. Misuzu then accepts her apology and offers to help Carol get Misaki. With that, Misuzu confronts Misaki about his feelings, and the blonde boy admits to loving Carol but just doesn't know the best way to confess to her. Hearing this, Misuzu, sensing an opportunity for maximum drama, hatches a plan to make Carol vulnerable so Misaki can confess his feelings. The scheme kicks off and Misuzu meets up with Carol and tells her to give up on Misaki because all her efforts to make him jealous by hanging out with Jun are pointless. Hearing this, Carol is heartbroken, and she runs off crying, even bumping into Jun and Tomo in the hall. Misuzu, still on her plan, links up with Misaki and tells him how Carol is all heartbroken. So Misaki rushes over to Carol's home to apologize, but the first person he meets is her mom, who headbutts him for testing out his Playboy skills on her daughter. Finally, Misaki makes his way to Carol's room only to find her crying bitterly. And there he confesses that he loves her, which makes the sad girl really giddy. The next day at school, Tomo and Misuzu are worried about Carol, but the Karen shows up in a ridiculous rabbit mask from Temu, which scares the heck out of them, especially Misuzu. However, Carol removes the mask and gives Misuzu a kiss on the cheek as a gesture of gratitude. Following this, the school decides to spice things up by organizing a marathon. And naturally, Tomo and Jun are hyped like shonen protagonists about to hit their power-ups. The race kicks off, and these two take the lead instantly, moving like they just unlocked Ultra Instinct. But then, out of nowhere, Tomo, desperate to win, goes full dramatic anime collapse and faints mid-race. However, Jun scoops her up and carries her to safety like some rom-com protagonist. When she finally wakes up, she's in a hospital bed with Misuzu and Carol watching over her like concerned NPCs. Confused, Tomo asks what happened, and Misuzu drops the tea, explaining that she passed out mid-run. And Jun, being the MVP, finished the race with her on his back before hauling her to the hospital. Just as Tomo processes this info, Jun walks in to check on her. And because Misuzu is all about the chaos, she whispers to Tomo. As the girls leave, Jun tells her that her mom, Akame, is on the way to pick her up. But Tomo, not one to waste an opportunity, demands that Jun carry her on his back again. With no escape, Bro sighs and complies, delivering her straight to her mom's car like a loyal delivery service. The next day, Jun swings by Tomo's house to check on her, and she hands him his Nintendo, admitting that he's officially stronger than her since he carried her and finished the marathon. That moment triggers a flashback from their dojo days, back when Jun finally landed his first hit on Tomo and felt like he just won the Nobel Prize for anime side characters. Fast forward to when they enrolled in the same school. Jun saw Tomo in a skirt for the first time and suffered an existential crisis because, up until that moment, he had been convinced she was one of the boys. Tomo, feeling some type of way about this, vents to Misuzu, who just shrugs and reminds her that Jun has always been an idiot. Meanwhile, in class, Jun gets hit with the most unexpected question. Some dude asks if he and Tomo are dating, shocking him. Moments later, he overhears some girls asking Tomo the same thing, but she shuts them down, saying the blind fool doesn't even see her as a girl. During lunch break, she tries talking to Jun, but he straight up ignores her like a tragic backstory character. And just like that, they go a whole year without speaking. Meanwhile, Jun, now in his lonely boy era, figures the best way to cope with his feelings is to get himself a girlfriend. Misuzu, passing by, notices him eating alone and asks why he's acting like a shoujo protagonist in his heartbreak arc. Jun admits he's lonely and sucks at making friends, but Misuzu calls him out, saying he's only like this because he refuses to replace Tomo. Instead of taking the hint, bro fumbles hard and asks her to be his girlfriend instead. And because Misuzu lives for drama, she says yes, just for the chaos. Fast forward to their relationship, and Misuzu immediately regrets his life choice because, on the first date, the jerk took her on a mountain bike ride that felt like she was training for the Ozempics. Back at school, Misuzu is exhausted, looking like she just finished lifting an entire battleship. Tomo, noticing her zombie mode, asks what's up. Misuzu, exhausted beyond reason, tells her she can't keep up with her energy anymore. Tomo drags her outside for a chat, and Misuzu admits she has the physical strength of a wet napkin. But Tomo refuses to let that ruin their friendship, and they end up laughing it off. Later on, Misuzu, finally ready to dump Jun and regain her peace, gets hit with the Uno reverse when Jun breaks up with her first. She's low-key bummed, but honestly, she dodged a bullet. Hours later, Jun finally grows a brain cell and decides it's time to fix his weird vibes with Tomo. He approaches her for a heart-to-heart, but before he even gets a word in, Tomo straight up decks him for taking an entire year to apologize. Almost in tears, she demands to know why he ghosted her for so long. Jun finally accepts his L and apologizes for being an insensitive moron. But before he can even finish, Tomo lands another punch straight to his gut because, clearly, her love language is hands. After all the physical abuse, they finally make up and promise to be better friends. The next day in class, Tomo decides she wants to buy Jun a special gift for his birthday, but she is dead broke. To make this happen, she figures a part-time job is the way to go, so she turns to Misuzu and Carol for help. Misuzu, always the voice of reason, tells her the idea is a bad one because she might end up beating up her employer, so she decides to join in on the job hunt to keep things under control. Carol, being a supportive friend, also offers her assistance. Just then, Tanabe overhears them and offers them a gig at his family's ramen restaurant. So later on, he introduces Tomo and her friends to his greasy fart of a father, who runs the business in the absence of his mom. Dressed in their uniforms, Tomo and her crew dive into their new roles. It is a bit of a disaster, with Tomo and Carol failing spectacularly at serving customers. Misuzu, on the other hand, handles her tasks with the precision of a ninja, making her the clear star of the day. Just when things seem to settle, Jun strolls into the restaurant, catching Tomo completely off guard. After a long shift, Tomo and her friends receive their paychecks, bid farewell to Tanabe and his father, and head out. Later, Tomo bumps into Jun, so Misuzu and Carol tactfully exit to give the two some alone time. On their walk home, Jun shares that he enjoys visiting Tanabe's restaurant because the ramen tastes better when Tomo serves it. The next day, Tomo presents Jun with his birthday gift, which is a smartwatch for both of them. In class the following day, Tomo discusses with Misuzu about how to look more feminine to Jun. So Misuzu devises the perfect plan to get Jun to accidentally touch Tomo's melons. With that, both Misuzu and Tomo take their positions on the stairs, ready to execute their grand plan.
Woman.
When Jun later arrives, Misuzu gives him a little push, but the plan goes south. Jun dodges Tomo and accidentally grabs Carol's huge globes instead. Carol, as always, played it cool, brushing it off. On the other hand, Misuzu starts to question whether her plan had been too extreme. But before she could dwell on it, she tumbles down the stairs. Thankfully, Tanabe cushions her fall with his meat and also seizes the chance to exchange contact info with her. The next day, Tomo notices Misuzu is missing from school, and Carol reveals that she's at home recovering from fall damage. Meanwhile, talks about these upcoming cultural festival plays start going around, and the class debates who should play Cinderella. Later, Tomo visits bedridden Misuzu to check on her and casually drops that she's been spending more time with Carol lately, making Tomo feel a little neglected. Before leaving, Tomo leaves behind a pamphlet for the Cinderella play, telling Misuzu not to overthink things. Later, Misuzu is straight up baffled to learn that Carol actually voted for her to be Cinderella while Tomo would play the prince. Cut to rehearsals, and while everyone is vibing in their costumes, Misuzu starts spiraling, realizing that while everyone else is moving forward, she's stuck overthinking. Jun, being unusually perceptive, overhears her crisis and suggests she just talk things out with Tomo. The day of the school play arrives, and the OG moms of Tomo's, Carol's, and Misuzu's pull up to the culture festival, hyped to see their daughters slay the Cinderella performance. As the play kicks off, everyone gets into character. with Tomo as the prince and Masuzu as Cinderella. The audience, especially Carol's squad, goes feral when Tomo drops to one knee and proposes. After the curtains close, Jun wastes no time and asks Tomo to stroll around the festival with him. Later, the squad, Tomo, Jun, Carol, and Misaki, jumps into a wild festival dance-off, leaving Misuzu chilling alone like an abandoned baby. But Carol isn't about to let her sis out, so she drags her into the fun. Misuzu thanks Carol for letting her be Cinderella, low-key realizing it helped smooth things over between her and Tomo. Meanwhile, as Tomo and Jun dance together, Jun gets a sudden burst of courage and almost spills his feelings. But Tomo, overwhelmed by the vibes, dips out of there like she just saw a ghost. Fast forward a few days, Jun and Misaki run into each other and start chatting. In a rare moment of honesty, Jun confesses that he actually likes Tomo, but Misaki doesn't think much of it. Still, he gives Jun some bro-tier advice, telling him to be straight up with your feelings. Jun, grateful for the pep talk, thanks him. The next day at school, Tomo finds a mysterious challenge letter on her desk, summoning her to the rooftop. Thinking she's about to throw hands with someone, she dashes up there, only to find Jun waiting for her. He brings up her old confession, wondering if she was just joking back then. Tomo, beyond frustrated, yells that she's been trying to be more girly this whole time for his oblivious self, and the dude really didn't notice. The rage bait builds up, and before she knows it, she clocks Jun in the face. As Jun lies on the ground, wondering where he went wrong in life, Tomo instantly regrets the punch. But then, still bruised and battered, Jun finally spits it out that he loves her. Instead of processing this properly, Tomo panics and yeets herself out of there, heading straight to Misuzu and Carol for an emergency meeting. Carol, being Carol, just suggests that she and Jun should start dating already. But Tomo is scared. Misuzu, feeling a little guilty over her past meddling, reassures Tomo that she doesn't need to change herself for Jun to love her. Encouraged, Tomo dashes off to fix things. She finds Jun and asks for a redo, and together they return to the same spot where she first confessed. This time, Jun makes it crystal clear that he is not even capping about his love for her. Tomo, feeling all the feels, is beyond happy. But she suddenly states that their relationship would stop them from continuing to be buddies. But Jun isn't having any of that nonsense. He argues that they can still be rivals and besties while also being a couple. To prove his point, he challenges her to a race up the stairs. Tomo obviously wipes the floor with him, but Jun just laughs, saying that even as lovers, their rivalry is eternal. Feeling bold, Tomo finally says she loves him too, and the dweeb instantly trips and falls down the stairs. Panicking, Tomo rushes to check if the idiot survived, only to find him lying there, grinning like a fool and shouting yes like he just won the lottery, amusing her. Weeks later, Tomo has lunch with Carol and Misuzu, and while eating, she complains about Jun feeling way too chill about their new relationship. Just then, Carol suggests she just go for the bullseye and kiss him already. Tomo instantly malfunctions, her face turning redder than a stop sign, muttering that she isn't ready for that level yet. Misuzu casually throws in the idea of watching redo of Healer together, hoping it'll nudge Jun in the right direction. Fast forward to movie night, and Tomo arrives at the theater all jittery and hyped up like she's about to enter the final boss battle. Meanwhile, Jun, who has been mentally struggling with the idea of sitting through a romance movie, tries to play it cool. The movie starts, and Tomo inches closer, but the ridiculously filled plot scenes are making her more anxious than romantic. Afterward, Jun admits to his own surprise that romance movies might be his thing now because he can now relate to them, unlike when he was just a lonely idiot with loser Riz. They exchange Christmas gifts, which is cute and all.
You think they look good on me?
Later that night, Tomo ends up staying over at Jun's place, but instead of anything remotely romantic happening, the air is so awkward because the two of them are newbies who have never loved and never been loved. Realizing that this idiot she calls boyfriend is not going to make any move, Tomo straight up blurts out that she came there to kiss him. Jun is shocked, but tells her even though he wants to bite her lips so hard, he wants it to be special, whereas they are not even officially dating yet. Tomo.exe crashes immediately, but before she can reboot, Jun drops another bomb, saying he already talked to her parents. While her mom is cool with it, her dad Goro decided to go full anime dad mode, and threw in a ridiculous challenge. Jun has to defeat him in a fight before he can date Tomo. However, Tomo gets angry and storms off to confront her dad for bringing up such a silly condition. She finally yells that she hates him and walks away, leaving her dad in a heartbreak. The next day, Jun shows up at her house, but Akemi, Tomo's mom, informs him that she isn't seeing anyone. She casually suggests Jun should just fight Goro now since the dude is apparently out of practice at the moment, which could be his chance. But Jun decides to pass on that death wish for now and heads to school. At school, Tomo is still fuming, realizing that Jun kept the whole "fight my dad for my hand" thing a secret. Jun, now determined to prove himself, decides to challenge Goro anyway. When the fight finally goes down, things quickly turn into a one-sided beatdown, with Jun barely holding on to life support. Meanwhile, Tomo, after a motivational speech from Misaki, realizes she can't just sit back and let this happen. She dashes home just in time to see Jun, looking like he just went 3 rounds with Saitama. Just as Jun is about to pass out, Tomo jumps in, challenging her dad herself. She tells Jun that while she won't interfere, she's more than ready to step in if things go south. But Jun, now fueled by main character energy, refuses to let her fight this battle for him. He approaches Goro again, requesting one more round. And while they prepare to fight, Jun observes that something is weird about him today. Goro seems to be deliberately leaving openings for him to attack, and he wonders why. Jun thinks of how best to land a hit, and after figuring out a perfect plan in his head, he realizes that Goro is only trying to test his courage and will to protect his daughter whenever she is in danger. He becomes more determined to protect the one he loves and launches at him before landing a decisive blow that makes him the winner. Afterward, Tomo is excited as he takes his leaves and asks if this means they can now be. But before she says anything, Jun quickly asks her to be his girlfriend, startling her. She wonders why he interrupted her, and he tells her it's his role to ask her out as the guy. She then suddenly grabs him and kisses the heck out of his lips. The end. If you enjoyed this recap, slam the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more plot-filled content like this. If you like anime recaps like this, watch this video right here.